Thank you and welcome to our show today. Excited to have a couple of really cool guests on. We're going to have a lot of fun. Just as a quick reminder, though, just a couple of things coming up that I think could be interesting for our audience. December 14th at 10 a.m., so a little bit different time, 10 a.m., December 14th, I've got two really talented agents that are going to be joining me for a great show. Nate Polson and Cameron Burdenside. Both guys are doing well over 100 transactions a year in their business, but this is what's interesting. This is the focus of our conversation, is really that transition from solo agent to leveraged team, right? Like, how do you start hiring your first people? And one of the things I like about these two is they're in different states of that transition and process. So they're going to have some really great, brilliant insight to share. If you are a single agent or an agent that is currently in the process of moving from single practitioner to a team owner, team environment, this is going to be a really great opportunity for you to hop on and participate in some great mastermind. Also, if you haven't checked out my interview with Ben Kerr last week, make sure you do that. We got just such great response and feedback. And again, thanks to Ben. I was just looking at our analytics from that show, and that post has been shared or out in front of 35,000 people, which is just mind-blowing in just a handful of days. We're quickly approaching 6,000 video views. So Ben had some really great things to share. Found out that a number of friends and listeners actually have had their kids listen to that interview. So some really good stuff. So today, our guest, I'm super excited about. I think their podcast was just recognized as being one of the top 5 real estate podcasts in the country, which is super cool. Matt Johnson and Greg McDaniel, the hosts of Real Estate Uncensored. Gents, thanks for joining us on the call today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Greg, double check your microphone because you're not on your good one. Just FYI. Yeah. Come on. Let's try to make this a professional podcast.
This is first time being live, right? Like, this is first time being Facebook Live or doing any kind of live show.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very scary. Very scary.
Good. Well, you guys, thanks for being on the show. Why don't you, if you don't mind, and first of all, congratulations on just being recognized for one of the top 5 real estate podcast shows. That's kind of cool. I think, was that your mom's list that she put out?
Yeah.
I made it up with crayon. I feel really comfortable about the ranking. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell our group a little bit about the show and what your goal is with the show and what the flavor is. What differentiates you from other shows?
I'm going to let Matt take that one lead off on this. He's better at describing what we do than I am.
What I do is we let Greg semi-run wild, and I lose my Greg Wrangler certification about every episode. No, the goal is for it to be the best sales and marketing training podcast out there for real estate professionals. And so it's all about actionable ideas, insight, inspiration around 2 ideas. Number 1, which is turning your real estate career into a life of freedom, because that's why a lot of us got into this business to begin with, was to have time freedom and financial freedom. Most people only get one of those 2 things. And the other big thing that we talk about on the show is just becoming the rock star agent in your market, which is a little bit of what we'll dive into today with live video and social media. But it's all about being that person that your social circle, your business acquaintances go to for real estate advice, and then escalate that into a client relationship. So those are the things we talk about on the show. So we talk about those concepts and all those things behind it, sales and marketing, and then we interview some of the top agents in the country, some of the top coaches from around the world. One of our favorite people is one of the top real estate coaches in Australia. And so we have people from all over the world on the show and get to riff with them about sales and marketing.
Yeah. I've been in the business for about 18 years now. I started with my father when I was, a wee lad. And, I've been blessed to, when I was with my father, I still am, on the team with him here with the McDaniel Callahan team. But, there were so many of my friends that we saw failing out of the business. 87% or 86% of the people are going to fail out within 2 years. And the majority of the reason that we saw that happening is because the coaching and the training, you have to pay thousands, about tens of thousands, to really get that top quality grade A content that people could put in their business. So that's why it's actionable ideas that you can actually do something with, not theoretical, things up in the cloud. And so we decided, look, we're going to give everything we possibly can to everyone that could ever want to have it for zero cost, so people can live the life of their dreams. And so we went into it with a full, servant-hearted mentality that I picked up and have learned, and now Matt and I emulate out through the show, from my father. And it's something that we don't take lightly. And we have heard that we have changed thousands of agents' lives by the content that we provide to them on a weekly basis. So we've always joked. We said if someone gave us $50 million each in our pocket today, we would never quit the show. We'd only do it. We'd do it 5 times a week, and we have the best equipment in the industry. So we would never quit this thing. It's too much fun.
That's right.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
As you think about your audience and the growth of that audience, it seems like it's grown exponentially in the last handful of months or years. How long have you been doing it? I mean, it seems like I've seen you guys more and more in the last handful of months, and maybe it's just leading up to the show, but it seems like you're getting a lot of traction and a lot of growth and participation. So tell us a little bit about like how long you've been doing the show and what kind of traction you're getting currently.
Well, I'll take that one, Greg, if you don't mind. So we've been doing the show. We're coming up on 3 years. I think we need to plan something for like January for our 3rd year of doing the show together. We started out as like a live webinar series. So we've always been live in some form or another. What really happened for us is when Facebook Live, like we were one of the first ones to try out the integration with a company called Smile Time, which is, I think they were the first company to be able to go live on Facebook. Then Blue Jeans and Zoom kind of jumped on the bandwagon 3 or 4 months later. We switched over to those because they were more stable platforms. And that's really what did it for us. I mean, we were going strong. We had a good following on YouTube. We had a good following on iTunes and all that jazz. But when Facebook Live came along and we could actually interact directly with people while we were on the show, that really just exploded the interaction, the engagement, and it kind of exploded the show.
Yeah, cool. So speaking of which, for our guests that are on the show and watching, please, if you'd like, ask some questions, make some comments. Would love to engage those questions specifically during the course of the show.
Yeah, so far, Matt, all we have is comments about your super awesome backup.
So I shared with Greg earlier that I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan, and my son is actually named Will. And it was years later that I admitted to Heidi that the only reason I agreed to the name Will was because of Will Ferrell. And so it's my favorite time of year. Like, what better show for Christmas than Elf? So
it's funny.
Yeah. So like the engagement piece, like please, anyone that is interested, these guys have such a wealth of knowledge after doing this for 3 years, interviewing many of the top agents across the globe, really. And so what a rare opportunity for people to ask questions and get some insight.
Yeah.
Before, and of course we'll have time to do this at the end, but here in the early stages, how's best for people to learn more about what you're doing or to follow you guys, or what website you want to share, or, where can people find you?
Best place is to go, like if you want more, especially more information about this and how to get started with Facebook Live for yourself and your own real estate business, just go to rockstarsocialmediakit.com. We've got a whole training put together there that Greg and I shot. It's a whole video training on how to do Facebook Live and take those first steps. And breaks down exactly how to do it and what to say and where to get content, all that good stuff. So we can dive into a little bit of that here, but if you want the recorded kind of version where we really laid it out kind of step by step, it's all in that. So rockstarsocialmediakit.com.
Awesome. Do you mind adding that to the comments too when you get a minute? Because I think that's where the big disconnect for a lot of agents are. They conceptually maybe understand some of the ideas, but lack the step-to-step process on how to really execute. So sounds like huge value. All right. Well, let's hop into this a little bit. I have some specific questions that I'd love for you guys to address. But maybe first start like with, how have you approached strategically in really growing your audience? So if you were coaching an agent, how to do that, like what are some of the practical tips that you would coach someone on how to build that audience?
Are you talking about how to build an audience in regards to having a show, building your visibility on social media, in your sphere of influence, in your geo farm? I mean, what arena do you want to attack with this? Because there's a couple of different methods we can go after.
I mean, I definitely think we should. I want to focus for sure on the agent building their sphere of influence, right? Their relationship, their database.
Okay.
But maybe this is naive on my part, but my assumption would be that some of those things would be similar, regardless of how you're trying to build your audience.
Okay. So
for either of those platforms, right?
Right.
Looks like we maybe lost Matt. So
yeah, his internet's going to be going in and out on us today. I think hopefully he'll be popping in and out like a bad penny. But you know, the thing that I would recommend is immediately. I know you guys, a lot of the people that are watching are going to hear this in the recording afterwards. You think you have a face for radio and that you have no good content that you can provide out. You couldn't be more wrong if you tried. So one of the things that I would strongly recommend for you is to, one, start doing live video immediately. Now, right away, they all think, well, Greg, what the heck are you talking about? I don't have anything to talk about. Well, you actually do. There's a couple of different sites that I would recommend. One of them is going to be neighborhoodscout.com. And if you go to neighborhoodscout.com, you can go type in a zip code of an area. In that zip code, you don't type in an address, type in a zip code, outline the zip code, and then it'll have micro markets within the master market. You can run your mouse over any of those areas, or they might be lined up on the right depending on where you are in the country. Click on it and it'll give you a description of what the real estate's doing in the area. And keep in mind, guys, this is a sword, not a scalpel. So this isn't meant to be hyper, not have the latest information, but start conversations with people. So it has the real estate, then it has notable and unique people, places, it has ethnicity, ancestry, types of work, how people get to work. And, that content kind of varies around the country, but that's the gist of it. Start making local videos about what is going on around the area to attract the eyeballs of the people coming in and to attract the credibility of the people that might be selling, because you know the ins and outs of the area and you have a strong understanding of what's going on. So Neighborhood Scout's one of my favorites. Now, to speak out to the community by doing video, I would recommend going to realtytimes.com. And realtytimes.com, you go to the consumer advice section. It's going to be the second from the left drop down. It's going to have, I think, 7 or 8 different sub tabs. The top 6 are the ones you're going to want to look at. So buyer, seller, homeowner, renter, new home, mortgage, I want to say. And you can go pick an article. Now, they're like, I don't know, page and a half, maybe 2 pages long. Take it, read it, and then push it back out through a social media channel like your business page, out through your personal page, out through a group or a group page that you're an admin on, or something along those lines. But be consistent on where you push the information, and let people know what you're doing. Like it's Monday buyer day, so you do information on buyers every Monday. It's seller Saturday, so you do something on sellers on Saturday. But you come up with a schedule, then you stick with it. And a lot of people don't want to do 6 days, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Do 1 or 2, okay? Do 1 or 2 different days, and that content, they have thousands, if not tens of thousands of articles in there. You can literally just, print it out and be like, hey guys, I found this killer article. It's about 6 reasons why to sell during the holiday season. Let's dive in. Mm-hmm. And there's always new stuff coming in there. So for your sphere of influence, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can start doing live video onto Facebook. Now, what I do is I have a stand here to my left that I put my cell phone in. So I'll shoot live video through this camera onto Facebook. Then I'll do live video through my phone onto YouTube at the same exact time. So I'm doing 2 live feeds simultaneously, so you don't have to redo the content. Yeah. And on YouTube, people are going to be searching that content down the road. So, I mean, Matt did a really good job when we first started our YouTube channel of meta tagging. And Matt, could you describe meta tagging and how important that is for anyone who's going to put something out there for YouTube?
Yeah, so basically that means that that number one, you put as much detail in the description as you can, and hopefully the content in your video is good. And if you just write up a description of what you said in the video, then it's going to have a lot of great keywords that people are searching for. But then meta tagging, like tagging itself in the video on the back end of YouTube, you can actually put in a bunch of different tags of what you mentioned, like the keywords that you mentioned in the video. And if you do it right, and if you're using words that people are actually searching for, then they'll find your videos. And what happened to us in the beginning is that real estate agents were searching for information about specific things that we were talking about, like door knocking and cold calling call prospecting and stuff like that. So because we had those keywords in our YouTube videos, our videos started to pop up along the right-hand side. So they would find, you know, Tom Ferry or Brian Casella, or they would find some other people out there that were talking about the same things. They would stumble onto their video, and then our video would pop up along the right-hand side. And this stuff works for areas too. So there's a great agent in Atlanta named Connie Carlson, who I used to work with at the old company I was with. And she did like neighborhood tour videos of very specific neighborhoods and suburbs within the area of West Atlanta that she wanted to work. And she would just stand at the entrance, and then there was a little B-roll footage of like driving through, or just like, you know, different shots of the neighborhood. And then she would do a voiceover where she talked about the neighborhood. It was drop dead simple, but it was well done. And she had like the description of what she said was in the video, and then she had it tagged with a couple of things for the neighborhood, and thousands of views on those videos because people were doing research. They were trying to look for information on those neighborhoods in Atlanta, and they would find her video. Well, guess who gets the call to go show me the house that I found on this other person's website when they go and they like her better because they found her YouTube videos. So the stuff works in general, but it's definitely worked for us on the show.
You know, there's another thing for you guys, and I want to dovetail on what Matt was saying right there. If you guys, if video is not something where you want to start, there's a thing called an Insta360. So you can go to insta360.com. These are 360-degree cameras. They work for Androids and iPhones. They're about 120 for the Android, 200, I believe, for the iPhone. Extremely well built. The stitching in the 360 actual image is very well done. And you can go do video and or photos of landmarks in your area and start posting them onto Facebook, onto your web page, onto multiple different locations. So if you don't want to do video, the 360 photos really make you stand out. I did it, the first one, this was about a little over a year ago. I did my first video tour of one of our new listings. I recorded it and put it onto Facebook. It exploded. Exploded with popularity. I think we went, and back then I wasn't used to this, but I had like 5,000 views on that one video. It was incredible because it's new. It was different. You know, that's how you can stand out.
It's interesting. I was thinking about, you know, doing the SEO work, whether it's the metadata or just writing a good description or whatever those things are. And I liken it to the agent that goes out door knocking without taking like a door hanger with them. Because during the course of door knocking, you're going to get a lot of no answers. And what a wasted opportunity if you're not leaving the door hanger on the door or some sort of marketing piece that could be to potentially engagement or asking them to connect with you in some way. And when we do some of this social effort, videos, whatever, and then don't do the SEO work, the metadata, right? It's similar to that, where we've lost the opportunity to really get great engagement well after we've posted the content. So,
right. You know, something that if the agents who are watching right now, maybe some of them are of the older generation or just don't consider themselves techie, but would love to kind of dip their toe in this pool, but they don't have the time to wait to build a big group. Go to local community groups or like association groups and ask permission to post content into these different groups. Not salesy. Hey, look, Greg McDaniel Callahan Real Estate Team, ding, check this out. I have a new listing kind of content, but hyper local content. So Matt Green, since I got two Matts here, Matt Green, are you guys familiar with patch.com by any chance?
I've heard of it, but I wouldn't say I'm intimately familiar with it.
So guys, patch.com is like your hyper-local digital newspaper for each city in America. So almost every single city has one of these. So if you want to create content in a hyper-local neighborhood Facebook group that you have permission for, because when you get admin status, you can go live into these different groups or post a video on there. But go to Patch, read an article that's something that comes into your inbox on a daily basis or every other day or something like that. Be the reporter of your neighborhood, but you can do a quick footer like, hey, this is Greg McDaniel with the McDaniel Callahan Real Estate Team. Hey guys, this is breaking news. You know, I just want to talk about, we're having a string of, you know, laptop thefts at Starbucks here in the Tri-Valley. Let's talk about where people are getting targeted. Regurgitate the article, close with who you are, where you're from again, with any questions about the local market. Groups really seem to be favor that because, I mean, you are a business, but you're not saying, hey, look, I have a brand new listing. It's beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath house on a 3/4 of an acre lot. It's going to be priced at a low $495, 72. We'll be open on Saturday and Sunday from 3 to 4. No, they don't like that stuff, but the other stuff is really good.
And you're staying top of mind. I mean, I just can't think of any other opportunity that we've had in the history of the industry to stay top of mind in a relevant way than with social media. It's incredibly powerful. Yet so many agents aren't taking advantage of that opportunity. You mentioned, one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't sure what content to put out, or that, where to find good content to share. What do you think are the other things that are keeping agents from really engaging in this as a platform to stay top of mind?
Video is scary as Al Snazola. I mean, for most people, I mean, it's like it's the 7th ring of hell, because they have to be vulnerable to the viewership, and people get so afraid of being criticized and then ostracized from their sphere of influence and their potential clients. What if I don't look good? What if my makeup's done wrong? What if I have a coffee stain on my shirt? What if I stumble over my words? People have this stigma in their mind that when it comes to video media, you have to be polished. You have to be perfect. You have to be an A-grade celebrity actor or actress or a newscaster quality to do live video, when in reality, that is the polar opposite of what all the polls are showing when it comes to live stuff. They want gritty, dirty. They want in the trenches. They want you to stumble over their words, trip over the sidewalk crack, be a human being, and people will flock to you. I mean, for example, yesterday, I was out door knocking. I was out doing all my follow-ups, right, to 30 different houses. We'll get into that, how cool that was yesterday, by the way. But I did a video in my car about door knocking. I have over 2,000 views on it. It's incredible, because I was out and about. It wasn't perfect lighting. It wasn't a perfect mic. It was just me in the field.
And that wasn't like a 2-minute clip. That was an extended live Facebook piece,
yeah, that's
right?
A 36-minute clip
of you rambling on, knocking doors,
just like a drunk monkey, just rambling. Blah, 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 blah. But that's what Facebook wants. They want the interaction and the consistency of views. So when I was doing the video, I had about 30 to 40 solid viewers at any given time, right? At the end, right before I signed off, it spiked to 75. And then dropped down to 65 and spiked to 70. And that's when I closed it off, because the algorithm was told that this is relevant content that people are watching for extended periods of time. So they opened up the floodgates to more people to watch it. That's what happens. I don't have no idea who these people are that were watching, but they got to know me and what I'm doing and my brand. And that's what this can do for you guys. Like you said, Matt, there has never been a time in the human history where people can go live at no cost out to all their friends. If you use Periscope, out to the entire world. Instagram is now live, out to all these people live at no cost, and you can talk about anything that you want. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's unreal. I mean, it really is incredible. And it really has created an environment where someone can step into this business and blow it up in a very short period of time, which is super cool. So the opportunity is just huge. So you talk about, it seems like the takeaway then is just get over yourself and put yourself out there and do it. Don't worry about the quality as much as just being authentic, being yourself, and doing it. The one thing that I've heard, because everything that I've read and seen is exactly right, like the professional lighting, the dialed in scripts, that those don't resonate as much with people. The one thing I've heard that is pretty consistent is that having good sound is pretty important. Would you agree with that? Is that relevant?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's one of the areas that we focus on. And yeah, it's absolutely true. Like I can be, as Greg, you've seen over the last 3 months in just about any location. You never actually know where I'm going to be broadcasting from, but I make sure that I have my really good USB headset with me so that I have good audio regardless. Even if the lighting and the environment and all that stuff isn't quite right or isn't quite predictable and whatever. Yeah, as long as you have good quality audio, that's always the priority. And it's not that it has to be high quality. It's just that it can't be distracting, right? It can't, that's the thing is people just want to be able to clearly hear you. They don't want to think about, oh, this is crap. This sounds crappy, so it's difficult to listen to. So it's not an issue of getting super high quality mics or whatever. I don't think I have it within reach, but my USB headset cost me all of $27 on Amazon. I mean, it's fantastic and it does the job just fine, versus this, $150 vocal mic. Most people couldn't pick out the difference. What's funny about it is Tim Ferriss, who has, averages something like 1 million plus downloads, maybe 2 million downloads per episode. He literally records his podcast on the same type of microphone that you see the average band using at a live show in a bar. It's literally a $99 microphone. You can drop it on the stage and it's a rock. I mean, it's just rock solid. It's nothing fancy. He holds one, the guest holds one, they record it onto a hard disk. That's it. So that's, I mean, audio is important, but it's not something to psych yourself out about. It's way more important just to get started and start doing something than to worry about the technology. Cause I see this a lot on the podcasting side of things. People like if they're looking to spend $1,000 and they haven't done podcasting before, like that's a red flag. That's a sign of someone that is spending way too much time focusing on the wrong things and not just getting started.
Yeah. There's 2 things I just put in the chat for this, so you guys can take them out if you want to. There is a little selfie ring light, costs $9. Goes on the top of any smartphone, and it will give you a nice ring of light right here, really make you look good. And then for a lavalier microphone, this is not the right one, but this is lavalier, the ones you clip on your shirt. A smart lav. It costs about $70, I want to say $70-$80, and it is a nearly professional quality audio. You clip it on there's an extension cord for another $30 if you want. You can back far away from the camera and do larger interviews. But I mean, with those 2 things, I mean, you're in business for $90.
Yeah, between that and the iPhone, you got phenomenal video quality, and then your sound quality all of a sudden just jumps significantly for the $70 or $90. That's the same mic that I use in a lot of my stuff. And I think the human mind connects with good audio. So if you just spend that $50 to $90 to get a good lavalier mic, it makes a huge difference. And I think the engagement, but Matt, you're exactly right. Just start doing it more than anything. People that I see people that look like they're making all the mistakes relative to quality, and they've got huge interaction from their audience, which is just more about being consistent on authentic than anything.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it, because I think one of the questions you were planning on asking us is what's our biggest mistake? Probably the biggest one I can point to is we didn't really know what our show format was at first. And it took us about 6 months to it all of a sudden clicked. We were doing a show. And so it's not even so much that we made a mistake. It's just that we didn't know what we didn't know. And there is no way to know what you don't know yet. You just have to get started, and then the path kind of clears up. So 6 months into doing our show, we were doing it live on YouTube, and we had been interviewing guests, and then we did some solo episodes and stuff like that with just Greg and me. And all of a sudden we had a guest on, and we wrap up the show, and Greg is like, that's it. Whatever the heck we just did, that's the format of the show. And I literally went back and wrote up the format and the structure of what we did, because I had to go back and figure out what in the heck we did, because that's my role, is Greg tells me to do stuff and I have to go do stuff. So I had to go back and figure out what in the heck did we just do that was so great. And then that's been the format of the show ever since. There was no amount of navel gazing in the basement of planning that would have revealed that format. We just had to get out there and do it, and doing it for 6 months, and then it clicked, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with the amount of engagement, the amount of followers and audience members and listener size and all this stuff. I remember Gary V said here not that long ago, he said, I essentially shouted into the void with the Wine Library TV for 18 months before anybody paid any attention to me. He said my videos at 18 months in were getting 300 views per video. So for anybody that if you're psyched out about making mistakes on Facebook Live or on live video or social media or whatever, just think about Gary V essentially shouted into the void for 18 months, and now look at him. Well,
you know what, Matt, another good thing, if they wanted to kind of, life hack their professional group or anything else on Facebook. Guys, there's a gentleman, he's with KW. His name is Nick Sakis. He's a good friend of ours and of the show's. What's his group called?
Real Estate Marketing Rockstars.
Real Estate Marketing Rockstars. Guys, he he blew our minds about a month or two ago. He said, guys, if you give me $500, I can probably put, no, it was $100. He said, I can probably put, 10,000 followers on your professional page. Matt and I called BS on it. We gave him $100. We showed up, we talked to him on Friday. We showed up on Monday. We had 9,725 people that have liked and followed our page in one weekend.
No
Heads
way.
exploded.
No way.
Exploded.
For reals? Are you for reals?
Oh yeah, our numbers right now are just under 41,000, and that's on $500.
Wow.
About a cent a follow and like. It is insane. So if you have a budget and you want to throw a couple grand at really blowing up your viewership and your extended brand out into the world, dude, it's a $97 product. He's not making $1 million off this thing, but he's weeding out the people that are just tire kickers, right? I'm telling you, Matt, back me up on this one. I'm telling you.
Oh, it's legit.
Spend the money. It's legit.
Yeah. Stop navel gazing and spend the money.
Oh, well.
I'm going to use that one. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I like it. But yeah, that's one of the things, like the biggest mistake you can make in social media right now is just getting too overwhelmed that you do nothing. Mm-hmm. Right. I think there's a lot of people that feel the pressure to be everywhere. And that in itself is a mistake, because that's the people who are telling you that are the people that have entire staffs and content teams that help them be everywhere. You don't, like, the average agent doesn't have to be everywhere. You have to be one place where your audience is and do something that matters in that one place. So, I mean, and that's what Greg and I did. I mean, we're not, as we've mentioned before, we are Twitter retarded. Yes. That's just not going to happen. It's just not. That's not in our wheelhouse. We have tried unsuccessfully.
Miserably.
We both dabbled in Instagram a little bit. We both dabbled in Snapchat at one point a little bit, and maybe we'll get on those platforms later. We don't worry about being everywhere. We're basically in two places. We're on Facebook. The videos are on YouTube, and then on the backside, we turn our videos into a podcast that you can get on iTunes and Stitcher. My staff all does that behind the scenes. We don't have any part of it. And so, like, we just focus on being valuable in the one or two places that we know our audience is looking for stuff. And we pour all of our time and effort into just being in one place. So hopefully that helps. That is one mistake that I see a lot of people making, is just either they try to be everywhere, they try to be a Grant Cardone or a Gary Vee, and you don't have an entire staff to do it, or they get so paralyzed by the pressure to be Gary Vee or Grant Cardone or one of those guys that they don't do anything. And they're just
that's such great points. I mean, and a couple of things that I'd want to draw out of that is one of the things that you said that was so insightful in my mind is that, and I see this so frequently amongst agents that start to decide on a strategy and they do it for like a month and then they are like, God, it didn't work. Right. Mm-hmm. And so you sharing with Gary, the Gary Vee story about how you did it for months and months and months and months before he started getting any traction. There's a lot to be learned from that. This is not a strategy that's just going to show up on day one. And so committing to the strategy and learning from the people that have gone before you, knowing that this is a strategy that some of the top agents in the state of Utah and across the country are executing on in the social media space and blowing it up. But it didn't happen overnight for them. It was a consistent strategy of really focused effort over and over again. Okay, given that though, I'd love your guys' advice, because some of the things that we've heard in the industry or that I've heard is that, you've got to be consistently out there. Like, you got to be posting 7 to 10 times a day. And of those 7 to 10 posts a day, 8 of them should be personal and maybe 1 or 2 should be business. I mean, what does how are you coaching agents on, how frequently do they need to be posting and engaging or creating content and posting new content?
That's really kind of more of a personalized question, because there's going to be some of the introverts that are going to be, you're going to have to drag them into the limelight kicking and screaming, so one time a week is going to be all they can handle. Then you have someone like Matt and I, who we're on camera at least 1 to 2 times a day, and that's normal for us because this is our comfort zone. You can create too much content. There's a gentleman, you guys may or may not have seen him, but he's an insurance guy from the East Coast, and he is on Facebook. I'm talking, when I say all the time, I mean all the time, and he just becomes white noise for me. I don't really get what he's putting out there. Something that was very helpful for both Matt and I was to schedule out your postings and then market your time. So If any of you guys have not seen me, I do a Facebook Live Monday through Thursday, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard, when I do outbound prospecting calls live on YouTube and on Facebook. I just started doing that, and people started catching on. Then they started getting conditioned to the fact that, I'm going to be there at 4:30 till 5:30 doing calls. You come and watch and hang out. Matt and I marketed to the fact that Mondays and Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, the podcast takes place. And so in the beginning, we used to actually push it out to big Facebook groups or just out onto our own personal pages. Hey guys, we're going live today at blank, talking about blank. And use an image when you do the promotion. Just random text is not going to be as effective as I used to do. Hey, I'm going to talk about this on Facebook Live, and then I would have an image of a Facebook Live image, so they knew what I was talking about. So that's some of the stuff. But I mean, it's Matt, weigh in on this as well. But I would say, if you can break up your content into something that's bite size, and this is something I struggle with, is not going too dense on things, going too far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, you really talked enough. I agree.
Shut up. I will slap you later. But go 10,000 foot, because that's what the average consumer can actually consume. I mean, because you want to go. I mean, I know I want to go deep on everything because I want to get every piece of information in there. Well, people can't take it.
Yeah.
It's like drinking, Coca-Cola syrup without the water added. It's just the pure syrup. That's not going to taste so good.
First of all, that sounds delightful. But yeah, I mean, it's the whole feeling the pressure to post, 5, 6, 7 times a day. I mean, the bottom line is this: what it really comes down to, and this kind of leads into just the secret of making any kind of social media work, is that the real secret of all this stuff is to use it to start conversations that then turn into relationships. And the question is, how much do you need to start conversations with people, right? So I mean, if it takes 5, 6, 7 postings to get people's attention in the beginning so that they know that you're doing stuff like that, maybe, but probably not. Especially when it comes to Facebook Live. I mean, we would recommend probably no more than once a day, maybe twice if they're short or something like that. But if you're actually on there where you're answering questions and you're taking 10, 15 minutes out of your day to do it, I wouldn't do it more than once a day. And then anything else that you post on top of that is gravy. Because really what it comes down to is it's all about starting real conversations with real people. If you don't use social media to do that, you're using it as a media channel to just push out content. I think that's where a lot of people miss the boat, is they spend so much time, or they feel the pressure to spend so much time creating content. They're treating it like a media channel. They're treating it like this is my own little NBC, but it's not. It's a place to start conversations. The content, the main purpose of that, yeah, it builds your credibility. It has all these amazing benefits, but at the most fundamental level, the purpose of a post or a live video or whatever is to start conversations with real people. Those conversations then turn into relationships that eventually lead to you getting a check in the bank for a commission.
Yeah.
And so if you're not using it for that purpose, then you're not doing it right. It's not going to produce the results that you want. It doesn't matter if you post 10 times a day.
But you also need to be entertaining. That's one of the things that there's a gentleman that Matt and I know pretty well, and he does a lot of content production, but there's not a show there. There's no entertainment value to keep people's interest. Therefore, his content falls on deaf ears. So who is it? Seth Godin, I think, calls it as the purple elephant or the purple something or other.
The purple cow.
Purple cow. You have to have a purple cow. You have to have that little thing, that shtick, that thing that gets people going. So in some of my live shows, I start off, blaring like AC/DC or Metallica or, Skillet or, some sort of band, and just get energized and bring that level up. And people then get engaged with it. They're like, well, what is this crazy guy doing? And they go for it. If you guys are content producers now, Facebook is just launching a new program called Facebook Watch. You have to apply for it, and it is literally going to be where you can produce your own shows on Facebook, and they'll be running it kind of like Netflix or something like that, producing the shows. So they're just coming out with it. So take a look at it if you're interested. Facebook.com/watch. So pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, so as I've jumped kind of down this rabbit hole of trying to understand this at a deeper level, the conclusion I'm coming to relative to this is more about quality and engagement of content, like how engaging is my content versus just mass quantity. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, as I look at the platform from a space of engagement, that means a lot of times it doesn't necessarily need to be me creating the content as much as engaging with other people's posts or comments, right? So if I'm consistently in that space and engaging with other people on their posts, but then on a consistent basis, and in many cases, some of the guys that I'm seeing crushing it are doing it a couple times a week, but when they do post, it's really engaging content that facilitates a deeper conversation and more engagement. Yeah. Those guys are getting really good traction, even with a handful of posts a week, and not necessarily having to do the 5 or 10 posts a day, which to me is just like overwhelming. I'm not a big social guy, right? Like no. I don't want to be in the spotlight continually all day long. That just sounds like it's going to wear me out. So
it does. It does wear you out, quite honestly. But I mean, honestly, just think about other things that if you like them, your tribe's going to like them. You're not going to get everybody to like you at all, but you will have your tribe that will like, follow, and support you when you start doing these live videos. But you have to be authentic to you, not trying to be who you think you should be. If you get what I'm following, because people will know
they see through that really quick. Yeah,
very quickly. And that's why we get a large following. I mean, on our show, I'm not very tame in many regards. And, you know, people, they follow me, they contact me all the time going, oh my gosh, thank you so much for being real, for being authentic, for being not being just another puppet. And I'm like, I got in a lot of drop down, drag out fights with my dad, my business partners, other people, because they were afraid of it, but they completely support it now because of the outpouring of the public. And you'll find that too. I mean, not everybody's going to like me. I get it. I totally get it. But I found my tribe. That's all I'm trying to say.
So what advice do you guys have for agents who now start to get engagement online? They start to get an audience. They start to get participation in some of these posts and get some engagement. How do you transition that from engagement to business?
So streaking right down Main Street.
Yeah, that's a key. It's step 17 of our 150-step marketing plan. Streaking.
With your brand, all right.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I hope your brand's short. That's all I'm going to say. Short name. It's just what I've heard.
Man. That's all right. So I think it comes down to, again, going back to conversations, using that as a stepping stone to start conversations with people. So one of the things that I love about guys like that we've had on the show, like Ronnie Phillip and Greg Harrelson, who I run a podcast with, and those guys, one of the things that they do on the back of their live videos is they make it a point, both immediately after and then several hours and maybe the next day after they do a live video, to go back in and interact with everybody that left a comment or maybe liked or loved the video or something like that, right? And they personally thank them, or they respond to the question if they didn't get a chance to cover it on the live video. But in other words, they're starting conversations with people. And that's the same thing that we should do as agents if we're putting out content about the market and people are interacting and they're engaging and they're liking what we're doing. First of all, just the easiest thing to do is just to go back and thank them and have that just reply to their comment on your live video. Then you can take it a step further and you can private message them and thank them that way and start a conversation kind of outside of the live video on, Facebook Messenger. That's a great way to do it. But in other words, it's all about, as long as you just have that mentality of, hey, the reason I'm doing this is to start conversations. So I'm going to use the traction and the engagement that I'm getting as a springboard to actual real conversations with human beings. Then you'll be fine. Everything else is just tactics.
One of the things that I use a lot is Facebook Messenger. I tell a lot of folks, hey guys, private message me or PM me on Facebook, because I can respond and get that conversation going that Matt's talking about in 3 different ways. I can do it in a written text, I can do it in an audio recording, or I can do it in a video. So whatever your preference is, and I annoy the living bejesus out of Matt on a daily basis because I send him audio recordings on Facebook because it's easier for me being a dyslexic guy to talk versus write, but he likes the written. So you have to learn how to communicate with the people that are out there, but you have the 3 different models to do it from. which is incredibly awesome. And if you do the 15-second videos on your cell phones, or if you go to messenger.com, it will link into your Facebook Messenger, and you can do a minute video from your webcam on your computers. So 3 different ways to talk to people right there, still staying in the Facebook family.
I love the fact that just humanizes you in a huge way, whether it's you sending a quick Facebook message to like happy birthday or just thinking about you or whatever. I mean, it's so easy to type it, but you just shoot that. And it's so easy right now with the technology the way it is to shoot a quick video. It just humanizes you in such a powerful way that it's, yeah, pretty unique.
15 seconds. You can go, hey, Matt, it's Greg, man. Happy birthday. It's your special day. Love to buy you a beer, brother. Talk to you soon. Done. Bye. Super simple, super easy. And it is, I get thank you letters. I get thank you notes all the time for the messages. Like when I shot the video this morning through Messenger to you with my hair going everywhere, my face bright red, and my towel around my neck.
I thought that's what I was going to get for the interview today. I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, gosh, someone tell this guy to clean up before he calls in.
Clean yourself up, McDaniel. And I mean physically this time.
No, it was great. I think those are great recommendations, though. A great way to engage your group. And then the other thing that I've seen successful is once you've earned that opportunity or that relationship, through that interaction, then you have the opportunity to kind of make those offers. I call them mofers, or make offers for immediate response, right? So now you've got your audience, and they recognize you as the real estate guy in your community. And then, come fall, you can say, hey, a lot of you probably just received your tax notices in the mail. Many of you probably have questions or whatever about, are they accurate? Is there a way to dispute them if there's a problem? I'm here to help. If anyone has a question, just send me a private message, right? So there's just little things that you can sprinkle out during the course of the month that's a value add, that is an offer or some sort of offer for them to respond to you, and some sort of service, right? So, we're kind of winding up here on time a little bit. If you guys had any recommendations for books or podcasts or something that agents should listen to?
Well, you opened Pandora's box on that one.
Yeah, so you have to get really specific on that, because we could spend the next 3 hours on this topic.
Okay, your top favorite 3 that you recommend the most. Isn't that Tim Ferriss's thing? Like, what's your number 1 most referred book? Right?
Yeah, or gifted,
which or gifted book
given away.
I wanted to do that, but Matt shot me down. He's like, no, we can't do that. Tim Ferriss does that. I'm like, well, it's still a good idea, man.
Oh yeah, you mean when you wanted to make that a regular part of our show? Yeah, exactly. Like I love Tim Ferriss's questions. I don't want to steal them.
It's borrow on a permanent basis, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you go first on your 3. I'll go after you.
Oh man, I don't have any of them close by because they're all over there by my bed where I've been reading them. I would say number 1.
And it could be people to follow too, like books or people to follow, like who to emulate or learn from. Yeah. Any resources.
Yes. Scale by Jeff Hoffman. They also have like a short podcast series. So if you like the audio format, if you just go look up Scale on iTunes by Jeff Hoffman, I think he's got a co-host on that as well. You can get a lot of the concepts in the book broken up into like 5 or 10 minute little audio episodes, which are really, really good. But the book is amazing. The other one I'd recommend, the other 2 are all both personal development, which would be Psycho-Cybernetics, which is an older one by Maxwell Maltz, and then Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. That is, those books together will change your life.
Yeah. Wow. Outwitting the Devil was a phenomenal book. It was held back for 70 years after it was written for fear of blowback. And it is just as relevant today as when Napoleon wrote it 70 years ago. It is legitimately unnerving when you hear what he's talking about, and it's up to you. Did he really talk to the devil or did he not? And it'll make your mind a little bit explode, but it's good stuff. Okay.
I'm excited for that one. I haven't read that one.
It's awesome. Yeah. So there's 3 of my absolute favorites, and Matt took my Outwitting the Devil, so I will have to.
How dare you? I introduced you to that book. What do you mean I stole it?
Because I want to recommend it, dang it. Okay,
sorry.
So the book that really changed my life.
I see a pattern here. Matt is worried about stealing other people's stuff. Greg has no qualms.
No,
he'll do it. He'll do it in a second.
It's me.
So there's a couple of books that profoundly impacted me personally, and then on a professional level. There's a book that I listened to for 13 months. in my Denali until my CD player started acting funny because I listened to it over and over and over. And it was called Follow Your Passion, Find Your Power by Bob Doyle. Bob Doyle is one of the guys that was in The Secret. What this book does, one, it really describes your subconscious and conscious minds and how your subconscious really runs the show, and how to set goals, how to concentrate on them on a daily basis so that they can come to fruition. But the main thing there, what it does is that when people set a goal, like I want to double my business, I want to make $1 million, I want to make $100,000, whatever it is, right? If you're not in line with where you're going with it, you can have that little twinge or in your head, in your chest, or in your mind, or that brief second that says, well, you can't achieve that. And that I've never was able to get rid of that until I read this book. And he talks about a thing called the Sedona method. Guys, go ahead and go Google that, the Sedona method. And it's 3 simple questions. And they're so simple that I do it on a daily basis, sometimes on an hourly basis or a minute basis, depends on what the situation I'm in. But it releases the negative energy out of me. It's phenomenal to do this. So follow your passion, find your power. And it helped me write on my goal book. And I think my dream book is, of course, it's not next to me when I need it, naturally. Second one is Go for No. Go for No is a book that changed the way I viewed prospecting. So what they talk about, and we had the co-author on our show, if you want to go back and look for that.
Yeah. Andrea Waltz, super sweet gal. But it talks about how instead of going for that 1 appointment a day, had to go for 25 or 50 no's, and all the leads that are caught up in there that you leave on the table for somebody else. Those 2 books, I mean, and then of course the Miracle Morning. I mean, a lot of people talk about the Miracle Morning, but setting up a routine that you stick to on a consistent basis, will change your business. I mean, that flows directly into a schedule that you can stick with shooting these videos we've talked about, or doing anything else that we've covered on the show. But yeah, the Miracle Morning is awesome. Follow your passion, find your power, and then of course Go for No. Love those 3.
Yeah, awesome. Great suggestions. I'm excited to read several of those that I haven't read, so appreciate it. I was thinking more specifically to social media, but those were fantastic. So appreciate it.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I mean, I don't have any. I would go, if I have to limit myself to social media, I would go read Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, okay. So here, it's not a book. It's a group to go follow.
Resources.
Social Media Examiner.
Mm-hmm.
They're on Facebook. They have a newsletter. They have a live show every Friday, and then they have sporadic shows throughout the week. The newsletter alone that you're going to get is going to have more content and will blow your mind on a weekly basis than you can imagine. The podcast is incredible. Michael Stelzner does a phenomenal job with that. And then the live show Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard, they go over the social media marketing that's happening on all the different platforms. That's up to the literal, sometimes the second of what's trending and what's changing per platform. So you can be ahead of the curve when it comes to where to spend your time, what these different platforms are doing, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, the whole 9 yards. But that is my Bible for social media.
Awesome. Some great resources. Final question, unless you guys want to poke at anything else or make fun of each other anymore. What?
This has been tamed, by the way.
I was going to say we do, but we have a whole show later today.
That's right. Yeah.
We'll get that covered.
That's awesome. And I'm sure that's why you guys are so engaging. It's a lot of fun, right? So you get a great audience when you're doing that. So do you guys use any specific apps like a Hootsuite or something like that to manage, or do you coach agents on, apps that they should be utilizing to help leverage some of the social strategy?
Not really. I mean,
yeah.
No, because all that is a way to automate posts. Yeah. So, I mean, we use it for clients on the podcast business side where we're posting their announcements. Like when a new podcast episode comes out, we'll use Buffer or Hootsuite. Some clients use some when they use the other. There is one that I just heard about I believe it's called Smarter Q, that apparently has some better functionality than Buffer or Hootsuite. So that's definitely one to check out. I think, Greg, we're going to start using it on our podcast to promote current episodes and schedule the promotions out, but then have a rotating library of previous episodes that go out on a consistent basis. So that's one of the fun things you can do with something like that. But none of that works if you don't have a foundation of regular, authentic, current content that's going out like that kind of scheduling stuff out should be like in addition to your foundation of the actual stuff that you do on a daily or weekly basis that's just current and real and authentically you.
I'm glad you made that point, Matt. I was going to say that as well. Do not make this your sole source of content, because it's not, there's not, it just feels scheduled. I mean, you want to be,
people can tell,
on the spot. Yeah, it actually says scheduled by. You know, so they literally know when it's scheduled. But yeah, go out there, guys. Be real, be authentic, be, you know, in the moment with the people that are the groups or pages, or your personal group or business page or your personal page, wherever you're going to go. Be you and go have fun with this, because it can be a lot of fun. And you just have to go out there and just say, hi, how are you? My name's Greg. This is what I like. This is where I am. This is what I'm going to do. Introduce the world to you and tell them what they're going to get. So the old adage, right? Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And do it as much as you're comfortable, but just never stop and be consistent on the days and the times.
Good stuff, guys. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to hang out and just share some of your wisdom. Any last parting remarks that you'd give advice for an agent that's really trying to engage in this strategy? And then why don't you share with the group one last time, you know, where they can find you and you know, check out the stuff that you're doing in the future.
Well, you guys go to McDaniel Real Estate Systems for watch some stuff, you know, watch some different videos. You can download our free. Oh, Matt, is the script books in the other link, right?
No, I would just, send everybody to the Rockstar Social Media Kit.
Yeah.
That's the best place to go, because then you get the actual training on Facebook Live. So, I mean, you can go to the website, McDanielRealEstateSystems.com. That's where the show lives and all that stuff. And yes, you can still get Greg's free, like the scripts PDF that we have put together. It's all on the sidebar of that page. We don't promote that as much anymore, because we were promoting that for over a year. But yeah, you can still go to the website and get that stuff. But RockstarSocialMediaKit.com is where you get the video training on exactly how to do the stuff we were talking about today.
That is the valuable stuff right there. I mean, you do not have to go out there and reinvent anything. Matt and I already put it all together. It's if you don't like it, you can PM Matt and yell at him. I had to do it.
Great.
Yeah, if you like it,
make sure to send an angry video too. Test your Facebook Live skills by recording me and sending me a live video on Facebook. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that.
Dude, that's what brothers are for, man.
Yeah,
brothers are there. Plus, Matt, boom.
Oh man.
You guys, thanks again so much. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of our engagement ends up happening over the next handful of days. If you guys don't mind hopping in and commenting or responding to questions, are you cool with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, huge gratitude to both of you. Really appreciate you taking the time. That was a lot of fun. So you guys, thanks. That's our show for today. Looking forward to joining you again in about a week with two really talented agents that will be joining our show, Nate Polson and Cameron Burnside. Again, we're going to be focused on how they've gone from single agent to a team member. Both of them are kind of in the process of it right now, which is really interesting. Different parts of the process, but just talk about you know the mistakes that they've made, the successes they're having, what they're hoping to do by moving to a kind of a team environment. And look forward to having you join us next week. I believe it's on the 14th at noon. Greg, Matt, thank you again. Have a great day. Appreciate you guys being on.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Take care.